Luka Doncic and James Harden have to be the best young and older comparison in the NBA, as they share a multitude of similarities. And in this video, similar to my last video where I compared Ja versus De'Aaron Fox, if you haven't seen it, make sure you go and check it out. We're going to do a comparison between both of these guys to see who is the better player. But before we get started, if you're not subscribed to the channel, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button, push the bell for post notifications, drop a like on this video, and comment your opinions down below on who you believe is the better player. But enough of all the plugs, let's get started and let's talk about James Harden to kick things off. When you talk about the most unstoppable players in the history of this league, James Harden is usually among the top of those players. Not saying he's number one, but he's definitely in that conversation. With 3 scoring titles under his belt, and over the last 3 seasons aside from the 2021 year, in which he only played 43 games, he has led the league in scoring consecutively, with over 30 plus points per game. And when you watch him play, he can really do it all. He can use his size to be able to bully smaller defenders and finish at the rim, and because he's sneaky athletic, he can surprise you with the poster here or there. As a 3-point shooter, he's one of the best 3-point shooters not only in the league today, but in NBA history, as that step back 3 obviously is his signature move and is damn near unstoppable. Combine that with his ability to create off the dribble at an elite level that rivals some of the all-time greats, and you have one of the greatest scorers that this league has ever seen. And by the way, one thing that Harden doesn't really get enough credit for, because obviously he doesn't utilize it that much anymore, is his mid-range bag. As if you go back and watch James Harden during his time in Houston under Kevin McHale before D'Antoni got there, as we all know, D'Antoni and the Houston Rockets were very analytic friendly, so that means to cut out the mid-range jumpers. Harden had much more variety to his scoring, as he would utilize the post more often and the mid-range jumper. But aside from scoring, James Harden is also one of the all-time great playmakers, as in the pick and roll he is a mastermind, able to find the lob threat at all times, and when you double him, similar to guys like Trey, Luka, and Jokic, he can always find the open man due to his high basketball IQ, and he doesn't get enough credit for his gravity. I mean, I've even seen games, I'm sure you guys have seen the footage, where at tip-off, they will double James Harden. It is insane the gravity that he has. I'm not saying it's Steph Curry gravity, but it is damn near close, I have to say. And when you have the scoring ability that he has and his play style, which is heavy ISO ball, the fact that he goes out there on a nightly basis and plays heavy minutes, primarily obviously his time in Houston, and he's still relatively efficient for the shots that he takes, while leading the league in scoring 3 consecutive years, is a testament to how great of a player, not just scorer, but a player James Harden is. The guy is a combo guard. If he wants to be an elite level playmaker, he can do that. And if he wants to be an elite level scorer, he can do that also. There are only a handful of guys in NBA history, much less the league right now, that I can comfortably say has the ability to do that. But then on the flip side, as it pertains to James Harden, there are some negatives. For starters, in the playoffs, James Harden is not the best when it comes to translating his game over into the postseason, as this year was an example of that. But I don't want to reference what he did in that Bucks series, because he was obviously coming back from an injury and was not 100%. But when you look at years like 2017 versus the San Antonio Spurs, or 2019 against the Golden State Warriors, or even 2018 against the Warriors, in which he shot historically inefficient in games 6 and 7, it really begs the question on if you can win a championship with James Harden as your number 1 option. And with him now being in Brooklyn, there really is no way to answer that question, and we may never get an answer to that question, as Kevin Durant is the clear number 1 guy. And on the defensive side of the ball, though Harden has shown tremendous improvement, for a good part of his career, he consistently showed a lack of effort on that side of the ball. And as it pertains to right now in the NBA, though he's better, that doesn't mean James Harden is a necessarily good defender. He's not a liability. I would not go that far, as the years in Houston versus now clearly show that, but he is still not a plus defender in my personal opinion, as even now he still shows a lack of effort at certain times in the game. Though I will admit he is a solid post defender, and off the ball he can show some effort with the steals, I'll give him that. In the right situations, he can be a solid and capable defender, but on the ball, like I said, the consistency and effort is just not always there. And another thing about James Harden that many people just gloss over are the turnovers. I mean, my goodness, he is a turnover machine. He may not have shown it that much this past season, but still, he throws a lot of bad passes, and it really blows my mind that James Harden broke his own record for the most turnovers in a season, and people don't even talk about it at all. Like, if you go to the top 10 turnover seasons in NBA history, James Harden occupies the most spots with 4 of them, with over 370 turnovers each. But nonetheless, James Harden is a great player and has established himself as arguably a top 5 player in this league, and I believe a top 25 to 30 player in NBA history, even without a championship on his resume. It really speaks to the talent that James Harden has as a basketball player. But now that we've talked about James Harden, let's move on to the boy wonder himself, Luka Doncic. When you talk about one-of-a-kinds, Luka Doncic fits the bill, as he's somebody coming into the NBA was doubted by many NBA draft scouts for being a white European, and despite the successes of a guy like Dirk or Peja Stojakovic, there are players like Mario Hezonja that are going to deter NBA scouts from thinking that a guy like Luka Doncic is going to succeed on the NBA level. But boy, from day one, they were proven wrong, as Luka was instantly one of the best players in the league as soon as he touched down on an NBA court. And as a player, his game definitely does rival that of James Harden, but there are some differences here or there. When it comes to his ability to finish at the rim, it's among the league's best, as he is terrific at using his size to bully smaller guards and get to the rim. Just ask Patrick Beverley, the guy played him out of the rotation damn near. And as far as his shooting goes, even though the free throw shooting is not the best, I will admit, the guy shot below 60% at the free throw line just this past postseason against the Los Angeles Clippers. But as a three-point shooter, the guy shot 35% on well over 8 attempts a game last year. And because he is a very streaky shooter, if you exclude the first 20 games where Luka's three-point shooting got off to a horrible start, Luka shot 37% on almost 9 attempts a game in the last 46 games alone. And considering that a lot of Luka's three-point shots are contested shots off the dribble, whether it's step backs or just dribble pull-ups, that's fairly impressive in my personal opinion. But what separates Luka and James Harden, in my opinion, is the mid-range game. Because if you watch the tape this past season, especially if you compare it to his sophomore year, Luka utilized the mid-range game far more than he had in the past, hence making him even more unstoppable. As in his sophomore season, he only attempted 52 mid-range jumpers and shot 35%, which is below average. But in contrast to this past season in his third year, he attempted 183 of them, converting 89, which gives a percentage in the mid-range game of 49%. And when you watch him, not only is he creating off of the dribble, whether it's with the crossover in the mid-range game, but he can even shoot the turnarounds in the post as well. Like I said, he's great at using his size, especially when it comes to abusing smaller defenders. But aside from his ability to score, he's also a great rebounder and playmaker. And when it comes to his playmaking, I don't care what you feel about this, longevity or not, he's already an all-time great playmaker, because with the gravity that he has as a scorer, he is generating offense for every single player on that Mavericks team. I mean, tell me, who is the other shot creator on that team? I'll wait, don't worry. Exactly, you can't think of one. And it's because there isn't one guy that can create on that team other than Luka Doncic. I mean, Kristaps Porzingis, I guess, but like, come on, we just saw a postseason where the guy was struggling to back down Reggie Jackson. And when you combine that with guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Maxi Kleber, Dwight Powell, Tim Hardaway Jr., sure, those guys are useful as role players, but they're role players. They are dependent on stars and superstars to the degree of a person like Luka Doncic, and it takes a special kind of talent like Luka Doncic to be able to generate offense for every single other player on the court. And Luka does it at an elite level. If it's the pick and roll, he can do that to perfection. It's almost impossible to double him because of his high basketball IQ. He can find anybody at any single time. You could double him at half court and he could throw an across the court pass to somebody on the corner or somebody at the top of the three-point line or a lob. he can really do it all no matter what you throw at him as an opposing defense. And then we get to the negatives, and there are definitely a couple of them that I want to highlight. On the defensive end, similar to Harden, he's not a liability, but he is not a plus defender in any way, shape, or form. Off the ball, he's relatively solid. He can get some steals here or there, and he can anticipate passing lanes, but on the ball, he doesn't really move his feet that well, and opposing players do target him. And as it pertains to his turnovers, it may not be on the level of a Russell Westbrook, but it is still not that great as well. He does need to do a better job at protecting the ball. He does throw some really reckless passes because he tries to thread the needle between passing lanes, and though a lot of that may be inexperience and a lack of maturity in his game, but still it's something that's very noticeable and does halt the momentum of the Mavericks offense at times. And another thing about him is his shooting, because from the free throw line this past postseason, it was horrendous. I'm talking the guy could not buy a free throw. As sure it didn't reach Ben Simmons level, as he was usually splitting his free throws, but that's the problem. You're a high usage player that dominates the ball, you score in a multitude of different ways, and the opposing defense can't really stop you. So for you to go out there and shoot less than 53% at the free throw line, you've essentially given opposing teams the recipe to beating you, which may be to put you at the line. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen Luka shoot that bad at the free throw line in the past, but unfortunately, I'm sorry. This is a guy that over the course of his career has not even shot over 75% from the free throw line more than twice. Sure, it's only been 3 seasons, but he has a career free throw percentage of less than 74%. That can be better, especially like I said before, you are a point guard that dominates the ball. If I'm the head coach of your team, I want you in the game in the fourth quarters, and I don't want to have hesitance of putting you in the game in certain moments because you can't knock down your free throws. But that brings me to the end of this video, where I am finally going to give my verdict for who is the better player between Luka Doncic and James Harden. And my answer, it's a tough one, but I gotta go with Luka Doncic. And before I give my explanation why, I have to say this was a very, very hard decision. And I mean, this was so hard that I could wake up next month and my mind could be completely changed, because when I rank the players in the NBA right now, Luka and Harden are not far off at all. But the reason I give Luka the edge over James Harden is because Luka is somebody that just can attack the defense in a multitude of different ways. Not only can he do it, but he does do it, and he throws the defense off balance. If you watch the tape, especially against a team like the Los Angeles Clippers, Luka was torching them in ways that James Harden just simply does not do. As in the playoffs last year against the Clippers in the first round, Luka averaged 36 points, 10 assists, and 8 rebounds, along with the steal and a half, shooting 49% from the field and 41% from behind the arc on nearly 11 attempts a game. And this is a guy that can not only finish at the rim similar to James Harden, shoot the step back threes just like James Harden, but what's the difference? He utilizes other moves in his arsenal, such as the post game with the turnaround jumpers, or with the mid-range game with simple crossovers to free up jumpers in that area as well. Though I believe James Harden can do that, he just doesn't do it, and because he limits his offensive productivity primarily come postseason time, where he has these just straight up god-awful shooting performances such as Game 6 versus the Spurs or Game 6 and 7 versus the Golden State Warriors in 2018, it's just very obvious to me that James Harden's game does not translate to the postseason as well as a guy like Luka Doncic. And like I said, if you think James Harden is a better player, go ahead and say he is, and let me know in the comment section, because it's very close. Like, honestly, they are just overlapping each other. If you want to say one is better than the other, to me, you're not really wrong, because both players have a case, and a very valid case, for why they are better than the other guy. But you guys let me know your opinions down below in the comment section. I'm sure a lot of James Harden fans are gonna be angry with me. Let me know down below. Do not forget to drop a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and press the bell for post notifications. This is your boy Young Mustard signing out. Y'all have a blessed day. Peace.